The assertion that hard work is a scam, coupled with the observation that the hardest workers often earn the least, strikes at the heart of societal beliefs about labor, reward, and fairness. Friedrich Nietzsche's critique of moral labor is a lie, rooted in his rejection of slave morality that glorifies toil for the benefit of the powerful, provides a philosophical foundation for questioning the value of hard work. Carl Jung's analytical psychology, with its emphasis on the interplay between the conscious and unconscious mind, archetypes, individuation, and the collective psyche, offers a profound lens to explore this issue in depth. By examining the psychological underpinnings of why individuals persist in unrewarding labor and why systemic structures perpetuate economic disparities, Jung's framework, influenced by Nietzsche's ideas, reveals the complex dynamics at play. This script delves into these themes, weaving Jung's concepts with Nietzsche's critique to provide a comprehensive understanding of why the hardest workers often receive the least, while offering insights into how individuals can navigate this reality through psychological growth. Jung's analytical psychology posits that human behavior is shaped not only by conscious intentions but also by the unconscious, which consists of the personal unconscious, containing repressed memories, emotions, and complexes, and the collective unconscious, home to archetypes, universal patterns that influence how we perceive and engage with the world. The notion that hard work is a scam challenges the cultural narrative that equates effort with moral virtue and material success. Jung would argue that this belief is not merely a conscious choice but a deeply rooted psychological complex, often reinforced by societal conditioning and archetypal forces. For many, the compulsion to work tirelessly, even in low-paying jobs, stems from unconscious drives that align with archetypes like the hero, who perseveres through struggle, or the martyr, who sacrifices for others. These archetypes, while powerful, can trap individuals in cycles of exploitation when they dominate the psyche without balance. Nietzsche's influence on Jung is evident in their shared skepticism of societal norms that glorify labor. In works like Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche argued that the valuation of hard work as inherently virtuous is a constructive slave morality, designed to keep the masses subservient while the powerful reap the rewards. This resonates with the modern reality where low-wage workers, such as factory laborers, service industry employees, or caregivers, often work grueling hours for minimal pay, while those in less labor-intensive roles, like corporate executives or investors, amass disproportionate wealth. Jung, who dedicated seminars to analyzing Zarathustra, saw these societal dynamics as reflective of psychological imbalances, where individuals are disconnected from their authentic selves and ensnared by collective expectations. For Jung, the disparity between effort and earnings is not just a socio-economic issue but a symptom of a deeper misalignment between the individual psyche and societal structures. The persona, Jung's concept of the social mask we wear to meet external expectations, is central to understanding why people persist in unrewarding labor. The persona is shaped by cultural norms, family values, and societal ideals, often compelling individuals to adopt roles that align with the narrative of hard work as a moral good. For example, a worker might identify as the diligent provider, sacrificing personal aspirations to fulfill societal expectations of responsibility. This identification can become so strong that it overshadows the true self, leading to a life of inauthenticity. Jung warned that over-identification with the persona stifles individuation, the process of integrating all aspects of the psyche to achieve wholeness. The hardest workers, trapped in this dynamic, may pour their energy into roles that society praises but does not materially reward, perpetuating the cycle of exploitation Nietzsche critiqued. For instance, a nurse or teacher may work tirelessly out of a sense of duty, yet earn far less than a financial analyst, reflecting a societal valuation that prioritizes certain roles over others. The shadow, another key Jungian archetype, represents the repressed or unacknowledged parts of the self, including desires, fears, and instincts deemed unacceptable by society. In the context of labor, the shadow might contain resentment toward a system that demands relentless effort for little reward, or the suppressed desire for leisure, creativity, or rebellion. Jung believed that ignoring the shadow leads to psychological imbalance, as unacknowledged emotions can manifest as bitterness, burnout, or even self-sabotage. For the hardest workers, the shadow may harbor feelings of injustice about their low earnings, yet cultural narratives about the nobility of hard work often prevent them from confronting these emotions. Nietzsche's concept of the bad conscience, where internalized societal norms lead to self-punishment, parallels Jung's shadow, suggesting that workers may unconsciously accept their exploitation as a moral duty, reinforcing the disparity between effort and reward. Integrating the shadow, acknowledging and processing these feelings, could empower workers to challenge the systems that undervalue their labor, but this requires a level of self-awareness that is often difficult to achieve in the grind of daily survival. The collective unconscious, with its archetypes, provides further insight into why the hardest workers often earn the least. Archetypes like the worker or the servant, deeply embedded in the collective psyche, glorify labor as a selfless act, often tied to religious or moral frameworks that equate suffering with virtue. These archetypes are reinforced by cultural narratives, myths of the tireless laborer who perseveres through hardship or the saint who sacrifices for others. Nietzsche critiques such narratives as tools of slave morality, designed to maintain social hierarchies by convincing the masses that their suffering is noble. Jung, while sympathetic to this critique, would argue that these archetypes are not inherently oppressive but become so when they dominate the psyche without balance. For example, a worker driven by the servant archetype may feel compelled to prioritize others' needs, neglecting their own and failing to challenge a system that undercompensates them. This dynamic is evident in roles like caregiving or manual labor, where societal praise for dedication often masks economic exploitation. Individuation, Jung's process of integrating the conscious and unconscious to achieve psychological wholeness, offers a potential path out of this trap. For the hardest workers, individuation involves questioning the societal narrative that equates hard work with moral worth and exploring what truly fulfills them. Jung believed that true fulfillment comes from aligning with the self, the archetype of wholeness that transcends societal roles. This perspective reframes hard work not as a scam but as a potential means to self-discovery, provided it aligns with one's authentic purpose. However, individuation is a challenging process, particularly for those in low-wage jobs with little time or resources for self-reflection. The systemic barriers, low wages, unpredictable schedules, and lack of access to mental health support make it difficult for workers to pursue this path, highlighting the interplay between individual psychology and societal structures. Jung's approach, while introspective, acknowledges these external constraints, suggesting that personal transformation must be accompanied by collective change. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power, which emphasizes the creation of one's own values, resonates with Jung's individuation but differs in its approach. Where Nietzsche advocated for a radical rejection of societal norms, Jung focused on integrating the unconscious to achieve balance. For the worker trapped in unrewarding labor, Jung's perspective suggests that liberation comes from recognizing the unconscious forces driving their behavior and redefining their relationship with work. This might involve confronting the shadow's resentment, questioning the persona's alignment with societal expectations, and seeking roles that resonate with the self. For example, a factory worker might discover a passion for creative expression or community organizing, redirecting their energy toward activities that align with their deeper purpose. However, Jung would acknowledge that systemic factors, such as wage stagnation or job insecurity, can hinder this process, trapping workers in cycles of exploitation. Jung's concept of synchronicity, the meaningful coincidence of events that seem unrelated, offers another lens for understanding the labor-reward disparity. He believed that synchronistic events could guide individuals toward their purpose, revealing connections between their inner world and external reality. For instance, a worker struggling with low pay might encounter a chance opportunity, a mentor, a training program, or a new job that prompts them to pursue a more fulfilling path. While Nietzsche might dismiss such events as illusions, Jung saw them as manifestations of the collective unconscious, guiding individuals toward individuation. In the context of hard work, synchronicity suggests that the solution to feeling exploited lies not in working harder but in remaining open to unexpected opportunities that align with one's deeper purpose. For example, a low-wage worker might stumble upon a community initiative that values their skills, offering both material and psychological rewards. The collective psyche, as explored in Jung's Answer to Job, provides a broader framework for understanding why the hardest workers often earn the least. Jung argued that societal structures mirror the unconscious dynamics of the collective psyche, where unacknowledged tensions, such as the conflict between fairness and exploitation, manifest in systemic injustices. The hardest workers, often in low-status roles, are caught in this imbalance, their labor undervalued because it serves archetypes like the servant that society exploits without fully recognizing. Jung's analysis of Job, who suffered despite his righteousness, parallels the plight of modern workers who toil without reward, suggesting that the collective psyche must evolve to integrate these contradictions. Nietzsche's critique of moral labor as a lie aligns with this, but Jung would argue that transformation begins with individual awareness, as each person's individuation contributes to a shift in the collective. This perspective highlights the need for both personal and societal change to address the labor-reward disparity. The gig economy, with its promise of flexibility, exemplifies the challenges faced by modern workers. While it offers the illusion of freedom, it often traps individuals in precarious labor with little security or benefits. Jung would view this as a manifestation of the trickster archetype, which challenges norms but can also deceive. The trickster might appear in the gig economy's promise of autonomy, only to ensnare workers in a cycle of overwork and underpayment. For Jung, navigating this system requires psychological awareness, using tools like dream analysis or active imagination to uncover one's true desires and align work with individuation. For example, a gig worker might use journaling to explore their frustrations, discovering a desire to transition to a more stable or creative role. This introspective approach contrasts with Nietzsche's call for radical rebellion, offering a more grounded path to empowerment. Jung's emphasis on spirituality as a component of psychological health further enriches this discussion. He believed that humans seek meaning beyond material success, and the collective unconscious contains spiritual archetypes that guide this quest. For workers who feel cheated by the promise of hard work, Jung would suggest that their dissatisfaction reflects a deeper yearning for spiritual fulfillment. The modern emphasis on productivity and wealth, which Nietzsche critiqued as herd mentality, often drowns out the spiritual dimension, leaving workers feeling empty despite their efforts. By exploring dreams, creative pursuits, or synchronistic experiences, workers can reconnect with this deeper purpose, finding meaning that transcends material reward. For instance, a low-wage worker might find fulfillment in volunteering or artistic expression, countering the dehumanizing effects of their labor. The archetype of the trickster also offers insight into the notion of hard work as a scam. The trickster challenges established norms, exposing hidden truths and disrupting complacency. In the context of labor, the trickster might manifest as a growing awareness among workers that the promise of reward for hard work is illusory, prompting them to question the system. This aligns with Nietzsche's call to reject slave morality, but Jung would caution that such rebellion must be balanced with self-awareness to avoid destructive outcomes. The trickster's energy, if harnessed through individuation, can inspire creative solutions, such as pursuing entrepreneurial ventures or advocating for systemic change. For example, a worker might channel their frustration into organizing a union, transforming their resentment into constructive action. Without psychological integration, however, this energy can lead to cynicism or burnout, perpetuating the cycle of exploitation. The psychological toll of low earnings despite hard work can also be understood through Jung's concept of complexes, emotionally charged clusters of thoughts and feelings in the unconscious. A worker who feels trapped in a cycle of overwork and underpayment may develop a complex around inferiority or injustice, which colors their perception of themselves and the world. Jungian therapy would seek to bring this complex into consciousness, allowing the worker to process their feelings and challenge the societal narratives that reinforce it. For example, a worker might explore their feelings of resentment through dialogue with a therapist, uncovering a desire for more meaningful work. This process mirrors Nietzsche's call to reject external moral frameworks, but Jung's approach emphasizes inner transformation as the foundation for external change. Cultural myths, such as the myth of the self-made individual, further perpetuate the labor-reward disparity. This myth glorifies hard work as the key to success, ignoring systemic factors like wage stagnation, automation, or discriminatory hiring practices. Jung would argue that such myths are rooted in the collective unconscious, serving to maintain social order but often at the expense of individual fulfillment. By becoming conscious of these myths, workers can challenge them, aligning their lives with their own values rather than societal expectations. For instance, a worker might reject the idea that long hours equate to success, choosing instead to prioritize work-life balance or personal growth. This aligns with Nietzsche's call for value creation but emphasizes psychological integration over rebellion. The anima/animus, the contrasexual archetype representing the opposite gender within the psyche, also has relevance here. For workers in low-paying roles, the anima/animus may manifest as an inner drive toward creativity, relational connection, or intuition, which is often suppressed by the demands of labor. Integrating this archetype involves balancing the rational, task-oriented aspects of work with the intuitive, relational aspects of life. For example, a worker might find fulfillment by incorporating creative pursuits, such as writing or music, into their life, countering the dehumanizing effects of unrewarded labor. This balance aligns with Jung's broader goal of wholeness, suggesting that the hardest workers can find meaning by embracing all aspects of their psyche, not just the part that toils. The collective psyche's role in perpetuating inequality is further illuminated by Jung's reflections on archetypes like the tyrant and the victim. The hardest workers, often cast in the victim role, are exploited by systems that prioritize profit over human dignity, a dynamic Nietzsche attributed to the manipulation of moral values by the powerful. Jung's solution lies in collective individuation, where society integrates these archetypes, recognizing the value of all labor. This process begins with individuals who undertake their own individuation, challenging the status quo through their actions and awareness. For example, a worker who embraces their shadow's resentment might advocate for fair wages, contributing to a broader societal shift. This perspective highlights the interplay between individual and collective transformation, offering hope for systemic change. Jung's engagement with Nietzsche's ideas, particularly in his seminars on Zarathustra, reveals a deep respect for the philosopher's insights into the human condition. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, the individual who creates their own values, resonates with Jung's individuation, though Jung's approach is less about transcending society and more about integrating its contradictions. For the worker trapped in unrewarding labor, Jung's perspective suggests that the path to liberation involves confronting internal conflicts and redefining their relationship with work. By integrating the persona, shadow, and other archetypes, workers can seek roles that align with their authentic selves, finding meaning beyond societal expectations. This process, while challenging, offers a path to psychological resilience and fulfillment, even in a system that often undervalues effort. The disparity between effort and earnings also reflects a broader psychological imbalance, where societal structures mirror unacknowledged tensions in the collective psyche. Jung's framework suggests that addressing this imbalance requires both individual and collective efforts. Workers can begin by exploring their unconscious drives, using tools like dream analysis, journaling, or therapy to uncover their true desires. At the same time, societal change, such as policies that ensure fair wages or job security, can create an environment where individuation is more accessible. Jung's vision, while introspective, acknowledges the need for external change, aligning with Nietzsche's critique but emphasizing psychological growth as the foundation for transformation. In conclusion, Jung's analytical psychology, informed by Nietzsche's critique of moral labor, offers a profound framework for understanding why the hardest workers often earn the least. The interplay of the persona, shadow, archetypes, and the collective unconscious reveals how societal narratives and unconscious drives perpetuate this disparity. Through individuation, workers can challenge these dynamics, seeking meaning beyond material reward and aligning their labor with their authentic selves. Synchronicity, spirituality, and collective transformation further enrich this process, suggesting that true fulfillment comes from integrating the conscious and unconscious, not from adhering to societal myths about hard work. While systemic change is necessary to address economic inequality, Jung's perspective empowers individuals to navigate these challenges with resilience and purpose, transforming the lie of moral labor into an opportunity for self-realization and societal evolution.